Okay, hi everyone. So what I'm going to explore today in this runners class is plank pose. So I'm taking a particular wide angle on plank pose today. So it tends to be literally a core exercise for runners, and my experience is that a lot of people just kind of go straight into it and then either hold it for as long as they can or maybe have a few variations. And people's experience is it maybe gets easier as you go along, but that it is quite a rigid pose and that people don't see the potential of making it into a more supportive way of strengthening the body. So I'm going to go through a few things with you that will hopefully give you different ways, different gateways into doing it and feeling that it's supporting you. So strength work can be about activation of muscles that we don't really activate that well, that we need for running, like the abs and the glutes. Just going pointed towards my bottom. Those seem to be the kind of, the things that we all need to sort out when we're running. And that is true. And doing poses like plank pose that engage this core support is really excellent. But there's a lot of messing around with plank and a lot of expectations from one exercise. So I'm going to just explore it and see if this helps you in terms of finding new ways into enjoying it, exploring it, doing it differently, etc. So we're going to be down on the mat, so on hands and knees or in plank pose for really the whole session, so we're not going to be standing. I've got two mats here. I've gone deluxe, so that supports my knees, but if you need a towel or a blanket for underneath the knees, then do so. I'm pretty okay with my wrists, so again, I'm fine to accept and take pressure, which plank will do. There are different ways of trying to find support for the wrists. Sometimes it includes rolling the mat up and get a little bit more support underneath the wrist. There's a little bit more of an angle. Some people do it, kind of use a lot of more on the fingertips, some of the work, and others use the knuckles some of the time. When we do plank pose, we're going to do it two ways. We're going to do it with the forearms down, so that might seem easier in terms of the wrist, so that might be always your option, but we also are going to do on the wrist, but you're choosing options that are going to support you the best. So in terms of preparation, so as I say, most people just come in and do a plank pose or whatever, and that works for some, not for everybody. So we want to try and prepare the body a little bit more. So you're on all fours, hopefully you've joined me, and you've got your shoulders broadly above your wrists, and you've got your fingers slightly separated without forcing them apart. And you've got a sense of the contact points of the hands on the floor. Your knees are broadly hip distance apart. So just press one hand gently in, so you're really feeling the ground. And that might activate your arm as well, your inside and the outside of your arm. And then rest and relax that arm, and then press the other hand in and just see what that does to the contact of the arm, the inside of the arm, the outside of the arm. And then activate both hands pressing down, and not only feeling the inside of the arm, the outside of the arm, but trying to feel the connection of the arm into the front of the body, into the chest and into the shoulder. So we try and get this sense that support isn't all about the arms, it's about the arms in connection with the centre of the body. So we're going to do a little bit of movement for the spine, just to relax the spine, to know that you can come into this at any point before, to take a pause or to come back with it at the end. So it's skull cow pose, so most of you, many of you are familiar with that, where you round the back and let the crown of the head descend, and then you arch the back and let the chest come through. So that's a really basic way of describing it, but in reality, what sort of happens is we think about the movement from the pelvis that creates both the rounding of the back and the arching of the back. So if you can take your attention to the pelvis and the base of the spine and move from there and let that kind of work its way through the whole of the spine to open up the movement and find space for the spine to lengthen in one direction and then the other direction. So sometimes people just prefer to find this kind of freeing up of the pelvis and the spine and just find the movement and find a rhythm. A lot of running is about finding a rhythm. So if that sort of suits, that's fine. Just keeping a soft breath, you don't need to try that hard. But generally, the most supportive way for most of us, once we get more practice with it, is to take an out breath when the belly comes in and the head descends, and an in breath as the belly comes down and the chest comes forward and we look slightly forward. So see if that helps. So 3 more of these movements with the breath if you can. So finishing off on the last one. And coming back to neutral. So part of that is also trying to find a little bit of support and awareness around the whole of the torso. So obviously when we're rounding, there's a feeling in the side ribs and also a movement that can engage with the belly. So hopefully some of that was experienced. So an easier, quick way, if you like, to get a sense of the abdomen and the glutes working is to tuck the toes under and take the knees off the floor. So there's a hovering going on here. And for most of us, I know the weight is going to come possibly slightly more into the hands as the weight goes forward, but try and feel the weight also in the feet so you're not completely taking the pressure forward. So there will be some work going on, but it shouldn't be so strong that you can't hold this for a little while, and breathe. So you're looking for what's a feeling in your belly, what's a feeling in your glute muscles, inside leg, inside arm, outside arm, and thinking about the legs connected into the bottom of the belly and into the torso, and the arms connected into the shoulders. So rest down, untuck your toes, and if you're comfortable to go back into what's called child pose, and go back when your bottom comes to your heels. And either you relax your forearms or you take your arms behind you. Some runners are uncomfortable around their ankles and don't find it's easy to get down to. So if you're more comfortable just coming onto your back, same thing but upside down. Then just bring your knees in towards your chest, and if you need to just loosen around on your lower back, if that's an issue for you, then please find a way of easing and relaxing. So taking a couple more breaths, trying to relax the breath, lengthen the breath rather than force the breath, just allow it to lengthen and support you. So from here, we're going to move into extending the back legs and getting into the calves and waking up the back of the legs a little bit. We're going to do 2 movements, so we're still going to work a little bit with relaxing the spine. So we're going to extend one leg behind us with the foot on the floor. So we're taking our weight back into the foot, into the ball of the foot on the floor and into the heel as it descends behind you. So for some people that will wake up the calf, and that might feel a little bit strained initially, but it's important to get that sense of opening. So just finding that for a moment or 2, and then just bend the knee and then push back a few times to just relax it and then engage it. And then from there, from extending into the back heel, and into the ball of the foot. Then just bring round the back and bring the knee forward towards the head as you round the back. And then extend the foot back and lengthen. So just one more time on this side, rounding the back, bringing the knee towards the head. Back with the heel of the foot down, and then just relax it down. If you need to shake out your wrists a little bit, shake out the wrists, come up to your knuckles if that's going to be more helpful to you. Do the second side, so reaching back, see how things are going in the calf as you extend back, and then liven the whole of the leg. Let the leg feel connected into the centre of the body. Support through the front of the thigh as well as the back of the thigh. And again, this might be waking up the glutes. It might be, hopefully it's extending through the hip flexor, the groin area, to give you a sense of length. And again, just bend the knee and push back, bend the back, bend the knee, push back to just kind of see how things are going there. And then change that into bringing the knee forward, rounding the back as the knee heads towards the head to its return. So generally it's an in-breath to go back and an out-breath to come forward. In-breath to go back, out-breath to come forward. Rounding the back. Okay, and hopefully done around 3 there. So one more movement for, one or two more movements before we can actually do plank at all. So we're just going to extend the leg back behind us, this time at hip height with the toes pointing down. And we're going to extend the opposite arm forward with the little finger, may not be able to see this, but with a little finger pointed down and the thumb pointing up. And looking down, pressing down with the hands on the floor, bringing the belly in, just activating the core for a moment. Keeping the neck long and loose. Feel the extension from the front hand to the back heel. Don't need to overextend, but you just want to feel that space across the centre of the body. Come back down, rest down for a moment. In neutral, if you need to go back, then just go back for a moment to child's pose. When you're ready, come forward again. Extend the opposite leg behind you and opposite arm. Press down with the hand that's on the floor. Give it a slight lift for the chest, a slight lift in the belly. And just activate what you need to activate, but looking down so the neck feels free. You can always make it slightly from side to side. Feel that sense of length across the body. Find the breath. And then back into neutral, back with your bottom, if that's comfortable, into child's pose for a moment, just for a moment. Breathe there, let the shoulders relax. And come forward again. Okay, so we're just going to be a little bit clear about the glutes here. So we're going to tuck the toes under. We're going to bring the fingers, tips back to the knees. We're going to find a way up till we can get the heels down, and then we're going to come up into chair pose. So I'm sitting quite low down. I'm bringing my belly in to protect the lower back and feeling into the bottom. So I'm feeling like my bottom's going back into a chair. Imagine the chair. I'm trying to keep my knees back, rather than certainly not in front of my toes. Finding enough support to keep the neck, the jaw, the shoulders relaxed. So you can kind of go a little bit higher on the in-breath, a little bit lower on the out-breath. Keep the elbows slightly bent if that gives a little bit more space for the shoulders. Over the 2 breaths if you can manage it. Right, the fingers back on the floor, get yourself knees back down. And again, maybe come into child's pose for a second to relax things, maybe with the arms by the side of the body this time, or again, coming onto your back and bring the knees into the chest as the alternative option.
So taking deeper breaths if you can, and feeling like the breath's coming into your lower back. I know there's not a lot of space here in the belly, so it feels more about the ribs expanding for me on the outs, coming outwards. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to do a bit more of a flow sequence to get into plank pose. So we're not going to stay there, we're just going to arrive there and come back. We're going to go between downward dog and plank. So if you need to watch me for a few goes, watch me. And we're going to have the hands on the floor, but rather than just below the shoulders, we're going to take them maybe a hand's distance further forward. So there's a incline, or the shoulders are back from the wrists here. So we're going to rock forward and back, and really rock as far forward as the shoulders coming above the wrists. So we don't try and go over, we stay here to give stability. So that's our end game, if you like. We don't want to go any further than that. We want to try and get our bottom towards our heels. Tuck the toes under if they're not already tucked under. You get a bit more feeling in the legs as well, in the legs and out legs from that movement. And we're going to go up into downward dog and then roll over into plank position. So if you need to watch, then watch or stop the recording and come back to it. So next time I go back, I'm taking my knees up and I'm going into downward facing dog. And I'm coming back down. So we're going to go into downward facing dog first, get the hang of that, and then we'll roll forward. So coming back. So I've got my knees bent, sense of taking my thighs back. My belly is supporting me, which means going in slightly. And the feeling my hands pushing slightly back, coming forward and coming down and coming back. Shoulder over wrists, bottom over, heels coming forward, shoulder over heels, and then knees off the floor, back into downward facing dog, back down, back into child, forward with shoulders, back into downward facing dog. So it might start to feel a little bit easier on the back of the calves, where for most of us, it's the calves and the restriction in the hamstrings are the problem. It is for me anyway. Okay, so keeping the knees as bent as you need to, so that the lower back is completely protected. It's the hips that are getting the hinging rather than the lower back. So next time you come down, just to readjust my clothing. And next time we're going to go up into downward facing dog and then roll over. Sounds a bit strange that, but roll forward into plank. Okay, so I'm having my hands in the same position, slightly forward from the shoulders, from the wrists. Got my toes tucked under, going back. And then I'm going to come up into downward facing dog. As bent legs as I need to keep myself safe. And then I'm going to push from my toes, so I roll myself into plank pose. So sometimes you're not always in the right position. And I'm not staying, I'm going to just roll back between plank position and down facing dog. So I feel like I'm going up and back, and then I'm rolling forward on my feet to come just with my shoulders over my wrists. And I'm just playing with that. So it might be out breath to go back into dog, in breath to come forward into plank. So 3 more times. You can always take a break or not. Do all the poses for as long as I'm suggesting. You choose, you do longer as well, obviously. So next time you're into downward facing dog, come onto your knees, and again, let's find a break here. So either child's pose, or if you've had enough of child's pose, then coming onto your back. And let the knees go from side to side. Circles on your lower back, just to ease Let your shoulders relax, your jaw relax. Sigh out or whatever, just to release and let go. And just rest for a moment, let the breath come back. And when you're ready, we're going to go over into plank with forearms down. Okay, so we're going to kind of check the activation out for plank again. Sort of done it earlier on in the preparation. And then we're going to hold it afterwards for a little bit longer. We're going to hold it with an intention of using the breath to support us and see if that helps us. Well, some might not help everybody. It takes a bit of practice. Okay. So the first version, we will have a break between and we'll try and get the breath to operate really well for us. So forearms down, hands down. Some people prefer the elbows in, some people the elbows slightly out, but you just need to feel stable and supported and broadly at 90-degree angle between lower arm and upper arm, shoulders broadly over the elbows. So I'm stepping back with one leg, so I'm going pressing into the floor with my foot, and then I'm taking the other leg off the floor, and I'm trying to just find this position where I've got support. So press down through the forearms a little bit to activate the connection between the arms and the shoulders. Bring the belly in slightly to get support from the abdomen, and see if that also you can activate the bottom and the glutes. So you could have, if you're into yoga, you might have a yoga block that you could put between your thighs to really activate the legs. So the other way of activating the legs is pushing back into the heels. So pressing down with the arms, chest away from the floor, belly in, glutes activated, pressing down both with the balls of the feet and back with the heels. So the whole body is just awake and alive and activated. And you know what that feels like. So no bums in the air too much, no dropping of the bottom and collapsing in the lower back. Try and keep the neck loose and supported. Okay. And from here, come down onto your knees and just relax on your belly for a moment or two. Instead of close, why not just stay here for a moment or two? Untuck the toes if you can. If not, just keep the toes tucked under. Let the belly come in, let the breath come into the belly and let the belly expand while you're lying on the floor. Relax the shoulders, the jaw. And find the breath again. Just bend your knees and just bring both of the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, and then just kind of windscreen wipe them side to side. That's okay for the lower back. Okay, so we're going to go onto our back and just see if we can really get into this idea of the diaphragmatic breath before we do a little bit of a longer stay in plank with the forearms down and a bit of variation. So coming onto our back now, find an easy way around. And feet on the floor, knees bent, and then just taking the hands to the sides of the rib cage. And see if you can find a sense of the breath in the rib cage. It takes a bit of time sometimes to feel that the rib cage is expanding out rather than just up. If you need a little bit of help with that, without over tensing, create a little bit of resistance from the rib cage on the in-breath as it usually expands out. And then let a little bit of pressure on the out-breath, but not too much, so the ribs go in a little bit. So do that for 3 breaths if it helps. Don't scare yourself. And then just relax for a moment. But keeping the hands, if you can, by the sides of the rib cage. So we're going to try and just deepen the breath. So I'm only going to show you a few. It would probably be more beneficial to do it longer. So if you're kind of pausing the video or you're doing this on your own at a later stage, then thinking about doing this for more repetitions. So if you can, you're working on a 4 to 8 breath. So an in-breath of 4 and an out-breath of 8. So it might be you start on 4 and then have to do 6 out-breaths, count of 6 for the length of the out-breath. Or it might be you get straight into 8, so it might be you do 4 and 4 and then. So there's a way through here. You start with what you start with, and then you try and extend the out-breath to broadly be double the length of the in-breath. And there's also this sense of expansion, if you can, on through the rib cage outwards, so we're using the diaphragm. So just, we're going to try 5 rounds. So we're going to see if we can take an in-breath for 4, and an out-breath for 8. And in-breath for 4, and an out-breath for 8. In-breath for 4, and out-breath for 8. And in-breath for 4, and out-breath for 8. And now just come back to a normal breath. And relax the whole body. Take the hands away from the chest or the rib cage and just let them be loose by the side of the body. Extend the legs out for a moment. Just feel the body and feel the sense of the floor supporting the body for a moment. So we're just trying to kind of get more relaxed state of the body. So there is research and a view at the moment that actually strength work is more about being able to get to a state of relaxation in order to lengthen the muscles rather than using kind of power, if you like. There are different ways of doing it, but if we can find the most easeful way, that's going to give the body much more support than straining the body. Want to avoid strain and over-efforting if we can. So we're going to come on to our front again and do plank with the forearms down. So finding the position of the elbows below the shoulders, have the toes tucked under, and coming up in 1 this time. And just reacquainting yourself with finding a position that you can find some support for. And hopefully you'll feel the areas of the body activating as you did before, but at a much lighter level. So we can start to breathe in and breathe out here as slowly and as comfortably as you can. Smoothly, not pushing or forcing anything. So for me, there's a slight uplift on an in-breath and a slight lowering on the out-breath. You may or may not see that. But there's a feeling of core support still throughout this whole process, throughout the whole body. So up to 3 more breaths, but you can do more than that if you wish to, but I'm aiming for about another 3 breaths once I've stopped talking. So finding ease as much as you can. Avoiding collapse, you have to just keep coming back to the areas of the body that are weak and slightly, give them and strength through the breath. And then just coming out of this gently, so knees to the floor, belly to the floor. If you prefer to go onto your back, go onto your back. If you're happy on your front, and you can allow things to relax down into the support of the ground, then go for that. Expanding the belly on the in-breath so the belly can relax and the jaw and the shoulders can relax. Deepening, smoothing the breath if that feels possible. Okay, so we're going to do some variations of plank now. So for some people, it's kind of like it's easier to do it to do plank if there's other things going on. So your mind's less in this state we're just in, which is I've got to just try and manage with my breath and stay where I am. So different people try different things. So if you were doing this, what we've just done, you could choose to look at the timing and extend your timing, or what I prefer is look at the breaths and extend the breaths. Counting the breaths is much more supportive for me than looking at the clock ticking. But for some people, they feel the challenge is moving the clock up and they need to know the timing. So you choose how you're doing this. For me, a challenge isn't necessarily about surviving. Sometimes it is, but generally it's about feeling better and more supported in what I'm doing so that I can feel healthy about it rather than wiped out and I've got no more energy left. So coming up onto hands and knees. So we're going to see how we go with plank version with extended arms, but we're going to do some variations. So some people might prefer the variations style. So stepping back into your plank, balls of the feet, and liven the body for a moment. So a little bit pressing down, a little bit making sure the chest isn't collapsing, belly isn't collapsing, so a little bit of support for the belly for the lower back. So you can activate the glutes, the inner thighs and the outer thighs. So lowering one knee and returning it. Second knee and returning it. And both knees bending and returning it. So takes a little bit more work for some of us. So take a breath in here. Engage the body, out breath and relax slightly, just slightly, no collapsing. Okay, bring one knee forward towards the elbow and the opposite side. Okay, so same again. So see if you can take the knee to the opposite elbow this time. So a little bit more of a hip coming under if you take the knee to the opposite side. So for some people that's a bit more relaxing, but it's a little bit more weight to manage. So 3 times on both sides. Back into plank for a moment. See if you can take a couple more breaths here. Feel that whole body breathing. Coming down and finding your way onto your back now. And have the feet on the floor and the knees bent. If you've got room to take your arms out to the side, to adjust slightly. Then take your arms out to shoulder level. The whole body relax for a moment. The arms out to the side. Feel the feet on the floor and the pelvis relax down. Feel the back of the head and the back of the shoulder blades on the floor. So we're going to move into a twist here. So I believe your feet where they are, but have them broadly hip distance apart by that. That was our starting point, which wasn't clear about. But you can take the feet even wider apart. Take the knees over to one side, and if you're comfortable with the neck, then just look over to the opposite palm. So my knees have gone to the right, I'm looking over to the left. Come back up and into centre, and take the knees in the opposite direction, and gaze and head in the opposite direction. If it's not comfortable on the neck, then just look up, keep the head in neutral. Coming back up into feet on the ground in centre. So this time, as you take the knees over to the first side and look in the opposite direction if it's comfortable, see if you can kind of lift and extend into the knee, as long as that's okay for the knee. So the sense of lengthening down this top side of the body. So I've got over to my right, so my left side of the body is getting an extension. And see if you can breathe into that side of the body. So you could even take spare hand. So I'm taking my right hand to the left side of the rib cage and see if I can breathe a bit more deeply into that side. So you can expand and relax. So 3 times. Final time, expand on the in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. And then over to the second side. Head to the opposite side if it's comfortable. Extend into the top knee and lengthen from the armpit all the way down to the knee. Breathe into that top side. So I'm taking my left hand now to my right side of my rib cage, which is getting a lengthening, and just see if I can breathe a little bit more strongly, or more supportively, or deeply is a better word than strongly. Don't want to push it or force it. Final time on the second side, breathing in and out as deeply, as comfortably as you can. Come back into neutral, so feet on the ground, knees bent for a moment, arms this time by your side. Extend one leg out, extend the other leg out. So you've got the whole of the back of the body now on the floor. And just find a comfortable position to lie for a few moments. So we won't be here for long. Obviously, you can stay as long as you like, it's a recording. But if you can at least have a few moments to really let the body rest and recuperate. So this is often what we leave out. We just get on with our day if we've done something a little bit stronger. But the idea is we want the body to actually recuperate. So at this time when our immune systems are really under threat and we might feel like running harder because the days are so lovely, there has to be a payback, there has to be a rest and recuperate option. So I'm not running particularly strongly, to be honest. I'm trying to run to effort and enjoy the runs. I suspect that's what most people are doing right now. So I'm not doing a lot of heavy training at all. Occasionally I'll do interval. I like to have some hills during most runs, so maintaining my fitness more than anything. So keep coming back to the weight of the body on the floor, the back of the head, back of the shoulders, where the arms are meeting the floor. where the back meets the floor, a little bit of a gap maybe for the lower back, and where the bottom and the legs touch the floor. Bringing the weight of the body relaxing. Bring the right side of the body, the left side of the body, the back of the body, front of the body, and then a sense of the whole body line on the floor. Breathing body, whole breathing body line on the floor. A sense that the torso and the center of our whole support system can expand out to the arms and the legs, and the neck and the head. Okay, so sighing or finding a little bit more sense of relief, yawning maybe, stretching or doing what kind of movements feel like the right thing to do right now to wake up a little bit, just loosen out anything that's tightened or feels uncomfortable. Bring the knees to the chest, so the lower back can get a little bit of massage over to one side when you're ready, or rock forward if you prefer. Okay, so that's my latest version of finding some strength poses using plank as the main one, and how I actually prepare, take breaks, use the breath and recover. So hope you're feeling strengthened and relaxed and finding a new way to potentially enjoy a pose that's giving you lots and lots of benefits. So take care, happy running, safeness.